morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on authenticity. And the title of the webinar is, As a Speaker, Authenticity is Everything. And this is as a speaker, a trainer, a facilitator, an educator. Your authenticity is so important. It's everything. Now, we've heard that. So what does authenticity mean, and how do we be more authentic as a speaker, trainer, or facilitator? And I'm going to cover that in today's webinar. Good morning, everyone. Peter Dew's my name. My role is to help people find their voice so they can confidently, effectively, with influence and authentically change the world, one conversation at a time, so you can share your messages, your ideas, your passion with your audiences. So why is authenticity so important? And it comes down to a range of things, and this list is not exhaustive, but when you're authentic is how you build trust. Authentic people are trusted more. They're not fake. They're not full of, false stuff. It's just them. So who you see is who I am. And along with that, that helps you be more genuine. And we know from marketing terms, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. So authenticity helps you to be genuine, helps you to build trust, and it helps you to connect with people. Those of you who follow Brené Brown, The Power of Vulnerability, her books, her TED Talks, will understand that being authentic sometimes means revealing our vulnerability, our insecurity. And of course, my vulnerability is that I am a person who stutters, who does public speaking, who helps people elevate their public speaking skills to the next level, just to raise it up to the next level. In doing all of this, I am likely to stutter, and that requires me to be vulnerable. And authenticity is sharing your lived journey. So when you're educating people, when you're doing public speaking, it's not just a 5-step process to financial success. It's just not 3 strategies to dealing with mental well-being. It's your lived journey. And that's the power of authenticity. That's why it's so important. And of course, I love this quote by Oscar Wilde: be yourself, be your authentic, genuine self, because everyone else is already taken. So moving on, how can we know that we're being authentic? And this is a self-check for us as speakers, and I guess in everyday life. Are you in tune with who you are? And this comes down to being authentic and genuine and living your values. And who you are on stage, so who I am today, is this who I am when I'm not talking, when I'm off stage? Sometimes we see trainers and speakers and they hop on the platform, they hop on the stage, they run the workshop. And then when the workshop is over, we go and have a chat to them and they become a different person. And then I'm wondering, who is the real, who is the authentic Peter? The one that just presented the content on this webinar, or the person you have a chat to after the workshop, down the coffee shop, during the lunch break of my seminar? So make sure you stay with your values and be on stage. Who you are on stage is who you are off stage. It's also walk the talk. What you teach, what you talk about, do you also live those values? Do you demonstrate those values? It's not just you espousing, talking about ideas, but not doing it yourself. That person lacks authenticity. And the classic one we've all heard of, and it's the time management guru, the time management expert. If this was a time management webinar and I was to start 5 minutes late, if I was to go 5 minutes over time, then my credibility, my authenticity as someone who talks about the importance of time management would be diluted. So make sure you walk the talk. What you're training in, what you're educating people about is indeed what you do yourself. The second thing that authentic speakers, presenters do, they help others be authentic. So it's about helping people discover their unique life purpose so they can go about their work, their journey, and do that with authenticity and genuineness within themselves. My role is to help people overcome their fear of public speaking, to help people realize what they have to say matters so they can stand up and share their messages at conferences, at seminars, at workshops with their fear. With public speaking, we often talk about the mirror. So when I'm talking about myself, my lived journey, myself as a person who stutters, the mirror is facing me. I'm inward looking. And we need to do that some of the time to share those lived experiences, to build some of the trust. But when you turn the mirror on the audience so that the audience sees that this message is for them, about them, and it helps them live their authentic selves, their authentic life. So make sure you turn the mirror on your audience so they can be authentic as well. Authentic people are able to let go of negative people. There are times in our lives when friends, family will give us advice, colleagues in the workplace will give us some advice. The negativity comes through. Authentic people know their values, know their true north, and they're able to let go of that negativity. Kind of an example at the moment is Neil Young, the musician, and Brené Brown, who I've also mentioned. They've removed their music, they've removed their podcast from Spotify because there's one Spotify program that is to do with anti-vaxxers, anti-vaccination, and they believe that it's spreading misinformation. And if Spotify is doing that, then they're not going to allow their music, in the case of Neil Young, and other artists, by the way, are following suit. And Brené Brown, in her podcast, they don't want to be associated with someone that's spreading misinformation or negative information. And so that's a personal choice, but that shows they're authentic to their values. Can you let go of negative people? Can you let go of doubters and knockers as you speak your truth authentically and genuinely to help people, your communities, grow, reach their goals, their aspirations? Authentic people express their true opinions. Now, most people don't lie, but it's not just lying. It's about, are you prepared to disagree with somebody? When you hear something, are you prepared to offer an alternative view? Have you thought about it this way? Especially at meetings and workshops and brainstormings, where many people, it might be safer to say nothing. Look, I don't agree with what's being said, but I don't have the courage to speak my truth. An authentic person would always share their truth. They would disagree. They would offer a divergent view. And one of the things that is occurring around Australia at the moment is the big push for safety of women, families and children, reducing family violence, the impact of violence against women. And men are the normal perpetrators. And sometimes just our language, our banter down the pub, our banter at barbecues, and we'll hear something that we know is not politically correct. And it may not only be about women, it may be around disability, it may be around culture, and many men will just stay silent because they don't want to upset their mates. They don't want to be seen as, rocking the boat. Authentic people will speak their truth. They'll have the courage to express your opinion, even if it's not popular with the people around you. And there's a saying that I often use. It's better to speak up and be ridiculed, be knocked down, be told that's a stupid idea. Better to speak up, speak your truth, than to not speak up because of fear of being ridiculed, fear of being rejected. Better to speak your truth and be rejected than to be too afraid to speak your truth. Are you confident? Authenticity helps you to become confident. Authenticity leads to confidence, and vice versa. Confident people come across as more authentic. So confidence means being confident in your own skin, focusing on your purpose. My purpose today is to support the people in this webinar, those that will review it later on, to help you. And so I have to be confident in my own skin, my own body, and not worry about my bald head, my big ears, my big nose, my imperfections. Confident people don't worry about their imperfections because they know that what they've got to say matters. And one of the things with public speaking is many people fear what other people think. It's called faux what, fear of what other people think of you. Think of your message. Harvard University calls it FOPO, fear of other people's opinions, FOPO. Now, FOPO and faux what serve you no purpose. It causes social anxiety, it causes fear, it stops people from authentically speaking up because they're worried what other people may think of them. Authentic people don't worry about what other people think of them. And here's a funny thing. In all the workshops I do, in all the webinars I do, in all the coaching I do, there's this realization that within 10, 15 minutes by lunchtime, everyone in the room has formed an opinion of me, which is none of my business. The same token, I've formed an opinion of each of those individuals sitting in my training room, which is none of their business what my opinion is. So the reality is people are going to form opinions of you. It's their right. Whether they like you, dislike you, it doesn't really matter. An authentic person sticks to their values, their message, and they have a clear reason why they're sharing it with the people in the room. And that leads to confidence. Authentic people do deep conversations. They're able to go deeper, answer difficult questions, left field questions. And authentic people will also say when they do not know. One of the workshops that I teach is thinking and speaking off the cuff. Another word for that is impromptu speaking or off the cuff speaking or speaking without notice. And my latest book is That's a Difficult Question, the art and science of speaking off the cuff. And one of the things is when you get asked a difficult question off the cuff, when you're asked to comment with no time to prepare, Authentic people will let you know that, look, I do not know the answer. But because I do deep conversations, I've got a deep knowledge. I know where, I know how to find out, and I will get back to you in a short time frame. And of course, this quote from Eleanor Roosevelt kind of sums it up. Great minds discuss ideas. So we go deep. We don't mind alternate views. We don't mind disagreement. We go deep. Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people. Authentic people go deep, do deep conversations, welcome discussion, welcome analysis of what they're saying. Authentic people take advice and they evaluate it. So we don't take it as given. I will go away, I'll test it, and I'll research it. In a previous life, I am a medical scientist of 31 years with a major in medical microbiology and biochemistry. And there's been a lot of questions asked of me over the last 2 years around COVID-19. And I don't give advice and I don't know all the answers. And it's been a while since I've worked in the microbiology area. So, and when people give me advice, I will go and look at the medical literature, not Facebook literature, and I'll evaluate it. And sometimes there's some good advice. And I'm now making sure that the mask that I wear when I go out will not be these little cloth ones. I've ordered some N95 surgical masks. They're relatively cheap if you buy a box, and they're the ones that keep the virus particles out. So I didn't just take that advice. I went and researched and found out. And I adopt and I change when required, but I don't just take advice because I know my values, I know my beliefs, and I'm going to remain authentic to myself. We need to do that in public speaking. We need to do that when we're running a workshop or running a seminar. Take advice, evaluate it. Don't just be a sheep and follow everyone else. Authentic people don't complain about problems. Authentic people take their ownership of the problems. The reverse of the ownership is the victim mentality or the blame game. So we feel things are bad, things are tough. We blame someone else for what's happened. Authentic people take ownership of their message, ownership of their training, ownership of the feedback that comes from a workshop, ownership of the feedback that comes from a webinar as to whether it was of use, as to whether it was just a gloss over the top. They don't blame someone. They take ownership. So authentic people understand that they and no one else are responsible for their own lives, for their own messages, for their own seminars, for their own feedback. And there is no point being negative. There's no point complaining. Authentic people are driven internally. So I share my message around public speaking, overcoming fear, becoming more effective as a public speaker. I do that because I wish to, I believe in it. And I don't want people to have fear, to have self-doubt like I did as a person who stutters, going through my career, growing up, going through school and university. My passion, my authenticity, my desire to help people like yourselves comes from my own internal need. I'm driven internally. Now, sometimes with public speaking, with training, there'll be a message that comes from head office and it comes down to you. You might be HR, you might be health and safety, you might be mental health, wellness trainer. And the message to you may seem strange, may seem obscure, may seem off topic, may seem not good. And now you're in charge to deliver that message that's come from head office that you don't agree with. Please understand that that will be a very tough assignment for you to deliver that message, for you to deliver that training, for you to get people to move from one way of thinking or one behavior to take new action or to take on a new way of thinking because you yourself authentically don't believe what you're saying. You're not internally driven. That message has been imposed upon you from someone else. So one of the keys to public speaking, training, facilitation is you need to be internally driven to be authentic. And finally, authentic people make the best of any situation. Things do go wrong. I've travelled all around Australia, the mining sector, and you turn up and all sorts of things can happen. From having a scheduled shutdown of the power plant on a mining site. So I'm now there at 7 a.m. with no power, with 12 people in the room, and I've now got to deliver a workshop. From double the number of people I expected turning up in the room, and all of a sudden I've got to change my mindset and be able to recover and deliver to 30 people instead of 12 people. The thing with authentic people is they learn, they adapt, they change, they're flexible. And I guess another way of looking at it is the metaphor. Is the glass half full or is it half empty? I always like the opportunity to think of the positivity, the privilege of being at a mine site with 30 people instead of 12, the privilege of being at a mine site where there's no power, but I've still got 12 people in the room ready to learn from me. The privilege. So summing up, authentic people, when speaking, training and facilitating, they're in tune with who they are, with their own values. And they understand the mirror is on the audience, helping their audience be better people, more skilled, find their true north, unlock their hidden potential. So come home safe and in one piece from a day's work on a mine site. It's about helping others. Let go of those negative people. Sometimes we still have to have them around, their family, their colleagues, but let go of the negative talk. Express your true opinions. Have the courage to say no. Have the courage to dissent. Be confident. Don't worry about what other people think of you. Always present your best self. Go deep. Answer questions. Go a little bit further if you need, and find out and get back to them if you don't know the answer. Yes, be open to advice, to suggestions. Being prepared to say no and to disagree means you have to be prepared to allow opinions, to allow advice, to allow other ideas into what you do. Accept that, evaluate it, and then make your decision. Don't complain, take ownership. Internally driven, I do what I do because I know it's so important in helping other people achieve their success. And glass half full. Make the best of any situation. Next webinars. Each month, I try to do 2 free webinars. Next webinars coming up. How to connect with your audience. Connection is key. So how do you build rapport? How do you connect with your audience? And of course, authenticity will be one of the ways to build that connection with your audience. And 7 ways to make your presentation more interesting on the 22nd of February. So they're the next 2 webinars that'll be coming up, 8th of February, 22nd of February. And One workshop coming up in Perth, thinking and speaking off the cuff, 14th of February, probably at Kalis's Fish Cafe in Leederville. I've got a small number registered, so I'll be doing my best to make sure that one goes ahead. You know how to contact me. This webinar is recorded. Should you wish to review anything, love your feedback, love your comments. peter@peterdew.com.au. So, which of these can you elevate to increase your authenticity? Are there any of these that you're not doing? Are you in tune with your true self? Are you helping others, letting go of negative people? Say no, express your true opinion, let that confidence come through, go deep, take advice, but evaluate it. Don't complain, take ownership. Be internally driven and make the best of every situation in these times of uncertainty and times of change. This is Peter Dew, public speaking training coach, trusting that you can now be more authentic in your public speaking, training, and facilitation.